Now let's go to the next one, next concept. See, we have seen till now so many Java classes. For every class, we are just creating main method. How the main method will execute? See, Java is internally supporting multi-threading. The main method execution is happening based on the main thread. We have a main thread concept in multi-threading. Main thread will take care of executing the main method. That we can see how it is executed. Now let's see in this example. Here I have class child thread, extends of thread. Inside child thread, I'm just override the run method. Inside run method, I'm just calling the 5 times child thread. Creating the loop and printing the child thread 5 times. Now let's go to the manager 3. Public class manager 3 extends of thread. Inside that, I have main method. Inside main method, I'm just calling thread.current thread. As I said, main method is a executing based on the main thread. Internally, whenever we are executing Java manager 3, Eclipse also will execute Java manager 3 to execute our code. To compile our code, Eclipse will call javac command to compile our code. Here Java manager 3, then JVM will take care of executing our code by allocating some memory in the CPU. When it is allocating the memory, JVM will call main thread to execute the main method. JVM will create main thread and it will allocate it will ask main thread to execute the main method. Now, when we execute the main method, we want to see which thread it is running. We want to see the name of the main thread. We can get reference of the main thread by calling thread.current thread method. Not only in this manager 3, to create class A extents of thread, there also we can get the current thread name or current thread priority or current thread ID. See, in thread class we have ID. We can by default whenever thread is created, ID is generated for the thread and name is generated for the thread, and it's allocating some priority to the thread. We can see what is the priority differences and why we need priority later in next concept. Now, how to get the reference of the main thread? We call thread.current thread, we'll get the reference of the main thread. Reference means object reference, T. By calling t.getName, we'll get the name of the main thread. If you want to get the priority of the thread, you can call using the reference t.getPriority. If you want to get the ID also, we can get it. Now, if you want to set any name to the main thread, you can set the name to the main thread by calling set method. Once we get the reference of the thread, we have setter methods to set the name and set the priority. And we have getter methods to get the name and get the priority. We have seen so many examples why we need setter methods and getter methods. Setter methods to set the data to our object. Getter methods to get the data from our object. Getting the data means variables of a class. Setting the data means setting the values to the variables of a object. Now here I am just printing t.getName of a main thread. Then I want to set my main thread name is main thread rename. So I am just setting the name as a main thread rename. Now again I am getting the name after renaming. Now how to get the priority of the my main thread? T dot get priority. We'll get the main thread priority. If you want to set the priority, we have the static variables. Max priority. Maximum priority is 10. Least minimum priority is 0. You see here, this is a static variable in thread class. This is a least priority is 1. Then in between we can give 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10. We can give any number to the thread priority. Now after setting the priority, again I am calling the get priority. Before calling, whenever an object is created for the main thread, what is the priority? We can see in this when we execute this. Now after setting the priority and getting the priority, I'm just looping the for loop and printing the main thread 5 times. After that, creating object to the child thread, and I'm just getting the priority of the child thread. By using reference of the child thread, I'm getting the priority. Then I am changing the priority to the minimum priority. Then after that I am again printing the priority after changing. Whenever we call ct.start, the child thread state will go to the runnable state. When we create object to the child thread, that state will go to the new state. That is about the states. Now, whenever we call start method internally calls a run method of child thread. Then it will go and execute the child thread. This output will come 5 times. Now, what is the priority? In our Java class, we have 10 threads. First, I want to execute the thread 1. Second, I want to execute the thread 2. Similarly, I want to execute the all 10 threads one by one. So, how it will execute? You give the priority as a first thread priority is 1, second thread priority is 2, up to something like a 10. If some thread is interrupting in between, after the interruption, which thread will execute first? Multi-threading means multiple tasks are running in the same processor as a concurrently. The execution is not sequential, the execution is simultaneous. Concurrent execution. All together will execute. So by setting the priority, first you can execute the first thread, second execute the second thread. Something like that, we can set the some priority. Based on priority, we can execute the threads if you have multiple threads in our same Java class. That is the use of priority. By using setter methods, we can set the priority. Now, what is the default priority? We can see by executing this. Let's go and run this. Now, current thread is main thread. Default name of the main thread is main. I just change the name by calling setter method. After changing the name, my name is main thread rename. Then, default priority of the main thread is 5. Main thread priority is 5 by default. After that, I just change the priority to the 10 because t.set priority, I make it as a maximum priority. Maximum priority is 10. You see here. So after changing, the priority is 10. Then I am printing the main thread 5 times. After that, I created a child thread. Child thread by default, the child thread priority is 10. Now here we need to understand one thing. What is the default priority of main thread? Default priority is 5. And what is the default name of the main thread? Main thread, the default name is main. Then what is the default priority of any child thread? Child thread default priority is 10 by default. Then after that we change the priority to the minimum priority. So I get the priority as 1. When we call start method, it is executing run method. So it is we are printing 5 times child thread. This is about the getting the current thread and get the name of the thread and priority of the thread and setting the priority and setting the name. Now let's go to the next one. In manager 4, I have main method. Now here I am not extending any thread. Even though if you're not extending any thread, if your class is having main method is executing by using the main thread. Whenever main method is executing, the main thread involved here to execute the main method. JVM will create a main thread and it will allocate the main thread to execute the main method for every execution. Now here, inside try, I am just doing some operation which is interrupting the other threads. Here I am calling join method. Join method is a type of interrupted exception. The statement which we are calling current thread.join, this will interrupt some other execution. When it is interrupting some other execution, the statement is a type of interrupted exception, checked exception type. So if you not do the try catch or throws on the statements which causing the checked exception types, checked exception type is a compile time type. So we'll get the compile time error. To handle that, we must use the try catch block or we have to throw the same interrupter type or superclass to that interrupter type. If you're not handling it, we'll get the compile time error. Now here, we have to learn one more concept of deadlock. See, we have a single thread. Here in the manager for class, we have main method. Main method I have in the main thread. We have main thread. By using a single main thread, how we are going to make our program deadlock? Deadlock means, see, if any thread is in one state, now my main thread is in one state, running state. When it is in running state, we have to call one method which will keep on waiting for main thread has to complete this execution. After the method, if you put any statement, that statements won't execute. Here, if you call join method on main thread state is in running state. If you call join method on the same thread is keep on waiting for the thread has to complete its execution. It won't go to the next statement until the same thread execution is completed. Now I have thread A. On the same thread, if we call join method, it's keep on waiting for the A thread has to complete its execution. It should go to the terminator state, then it will come and execute the remaining portion. So same thread, I am just doing same loop. In the same thread, we are just doing some deadlock. If you call join method on the same thread, if any thread, here we have a main thread. It won't go and execute the remaining portion of the thread. This statement won't never execute. It's keep on waiting for the same thread has to complete. Then it won't basically it won't go and complete that remaining portion. So this will go to the deadlock state. If somebody asks in interview how to make the main thread to the deadlock, by using join method we can make our main thread to the deadlock. We call thread.current thread. Now let's go and execute this. This output won't come. This statement will never execute. You see here, this is keep on waiting. We have to stop our execution. Otherwise it won't stop. Now if you go and run in here, if you run this, that will stop because execution is completed. Now if you go and run this, the execution won't complete, won't go to the terminator state until we terminate ourselves. See, this is a keep on method because it went to deadlock state. Now I have to terminate this. Now let's go and see what is the main thread, what is the use of main thread. thread. How to make a main thread is deadlock. I have put in readme. See, whenever Java program is starting, when we default executable method is executing main method. By default, internally, main thread is running the run method of main thread. Internally, it is calling start method of main thread, and the start method will execute the run method of main thread. Now, what is main thread? Whenever our Java program starts executing, main thread will execute. Executing main thread means internally it is calling the run method of main thread. See why the main thread priority is default is 5 and why child thread priorities are 10. See, main thread priority is 5 because the main thread is only the thread which is executing all the child threads. Inside the main method only, we are just calling the child threads directly or indirectly. Inside the main method, I am calling test method. Inside test method, I am creating one child thread class here, extend thread, and I am just starting the thread. Inside the starting of thread, again I am creating one more thread. I am calling one more thread. So all the child threads priority is 10 because first all the highest priority has to complete first. Then main thread priority is 5. The main thread is the last thread which has to complete its execution. And what is the relation between the main thread and main method? You see here for each program a main thread is created by JVM. JVM is creating main thread. The main thread first verifies the execution of the main method and then it initializes the class. For every program, main thread is created by JVM. JVM is creating main thread and main thread first verifies the execution of a main method. Means main thread is verifying and executing the main method. If you want, go to this README also. I'll share the link where we can download all these codes. For now, this is about the main thread. For every program, JVM will create the main thread and main thread will take care of executing the main method. That's what we have to understand. And how to make the main thread to a deadlock state. We can make the main thread to the deadlock state by calling join method on the same thread. When we call join method, the same thread keep on waiting for the same thread has to complete. We have here main thread. We are calling join method on main thread. Main thread is always waiting for main thread has to complete its execution. If you call join method on any thread, it's keep on waiting for the same thread has to complete execution. So it will go to the deadlock state because main thread is executing. On the main thread only we have join method. This is one interview question. How to make main thread to deadlock state. Now let's go to the next concept. See, whenever thread is executing, whenever thread is in runnable state, how to prevent the thread execution? How to prevent the thread execution? Preventing the thread execution is stopping the thread execution for some time. We can achieve that by using the sleep method. We can stop the thread execution for some time. So if we call thread.sleep, the thread execution will stop for some time. And We have join method. If you call join method on any thread, it's keep on waiting for the thread execution has to complete. Then it will go to the next thread execution. I have thread 1 and thread 2. If we call join method on thread 2, once the thread 2 execution is completed, then it will come and execute the thread 1 execution. Thread 1 and thread 2 execution is taking 5 minutes each. So I write a program for thread 1 and thread 2. Thread 1 execution will take 5 minutes. Thread 2 execution will take 5 minutes. If we both run at a time, the total execution of time is 5 minutes because both the threads will execute simultaneously, concurrently. So here, now I want to stop execution of thread 1 in between. Once thread 2 execution is completed, then I have to continue the execution of thread 1. When it will happen? That is called preventing the thread execution of thread 1. So whenever we call thread 2 dot join, thread 1 is keep on waiting for thread 2 has to complete its execution. Then it will come and execute the thread 1 again. When both are executing simultaneously, if you call join method on any thread, once that execution is completed, then only other threads can get the processor to execute their threads. That is a join method. We have one more method, yield method. Now, in the tomorrow class, we can learn how to prevent the execution of a thread. In today's class, we have seen what is a thread, how many ways create a thread, how many ways we can create a thread class, difference between creating a thread using thread class and using runnable interface. What is the life cycle of thread? Ask me what is the life cycle of thread? We have to explain all states of the thread. What is main thread? How main method? Main method executes in Java. How to prevent thread execution? This we can see in tomorrow class. And we have seen how to set the priority, how to get the name, how to set the name of a thread. Let's see in tomorrow class. If you have any doubts, you just message me or ping me, or you can ask now.